Welcome back, everyone, to the LeagueCraft GG Classic presented by Arcade. I am Monte Cristo, and with me is KDH.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, summoners and summonettes?
Summoners and summonettes, welcome. We already had the chat bans go down for Fornot versus Orb, which is the game that you are watching right now. Fornot has banned out Darius again after CLG Black banned it out last game, both targeted at Yazuki. In the meantime, Orbit banned out Janna. Zekent, the support player from Fornot, does play by far more Janna than any other support. Although Zekent is also known as Spam Happy and is renowned for his Poppy, typically in top lane, but this is a man who made his name playing Poppy in every position, so he does play support Poppy. I have seen it done.
Yes, he's all Poppy all the time.
So we do see Martel here. He is a sub for Trix, the typical top laner of Fornot. I took a look at his profile briefly. Looks like we might see some Rumble or some Tryndamere play up in top lane if his ranked stats are any indication.
An interesting Kale ban here by Orbit, and the Urgot ban as well, targeted at the AD carry.
Yeah, that Kale ban, maybe for Martel. I don't think that Zekent runs support Kale. I could be wrong about that. The Fornot team that we're looking at has radically changed since Fornot took second place in the last GG Classic. Bloodwater, of course, going to CLG Black. Takashi replacing Kramer. And Dr. Trevor being replaced by Trix, and therefore Martel subbing for that top lane position in this tournament. So I have not seen this particular team play together before, nor have I casted them. But I have seen plenty of Takashi in V8, his former team, and One Bad Brad, a wonderful jungler, playing a lot of Nocturne and Nautilus typically.
All right, well, it looks like Parole is going to pick up Morgana first, so there's that initial Morgana pick. Morgana usually getting banned out, so I think we're going to be interested to see her. You know, Morgana and Shen, in the last game we cast, Orbit versus CLG Black, Shen was allowed onto the battlefield as well, and that was problematic. So I'm wondering if Morgana will be equally so.
And we do see them leaving Nocturne open again for High. We were talking last game about how well High does as Nocturne, and so we might see that again. We'll see what his pick ends up being. Morgana being the first pick, of course, and again, Malphite being banned out, targeted at Yazuki, who played Malphite in the last game, didn't do so hot against Rumble. So considering we know that Martel plays a bunch of Rumble, I'm surprised we're not actually going to see the same matchup up in top lane.
Yeah, well, we're not going to see a Malphite just because everyone of late is pretty aware of how potent Malphite is, especially post-6. And it's also not surprising, you know, he's not going to run Malphite against Rumble after that game, I don't think.
So let's check it out. High there being... Let's see if he actually locks in this Lee Sin. It'll be interesting to see where Lee Sin ends up because both High and Yazuki do play him. So
that's true.
We'll have to see. That is a great pickup, of course, if you can switch it to top lane and fool your opponent, make them think that something else is going in top lane, or make them pick their top lane and then switch Lee Sin down there.
They'll never see it coming.
They'll never see it coming. You're too funny, KDH.
And neither will Lee Sin. Oh, man.
So Lemonation playing Soraka again. We did see him playing Soraka last game. I'm depressed we're not going to see Lemonation picking up that Blitzcrank that we're so used to seeing him play.
I mean, and his name is almost indicative of Blitzcrank being Lemon Nation. One Bad Brad taking Nocturne and a Kog'Maw for Takashi X here.
I'll be interested to see. We did see Parole play a lot of Kog'Maw in the last GG Classic and do extremely well on him in bot lane. So we'll see if Takashi's going to pick it up for AP mid or whether that's going to be swapped to Parole. It looks like since Morgana's already been picked, unless they're trying something truly crazy with support Morgana, we should see that
solo
swap.
top Morgana.
Or solo top Morgana. I don't think we're going to see that. So it looks like we will be seeing AD Cog this game on Parole, a champion that I know and I have seen him play at an extremely high level in the past.
And so what that usually means to me when I see a Kog'Maw picked on another team is that, okay, who else are they going to choose to make sure Kog'Maw stays alive all the time forever?
Right, and so, of course, Morgana's going to help with her ult in that endeavor, as well as Dark Binding, and so we'll have to see if they pick up Nunu, the traditional complement for Kog'Maw, or if they're going to be going a little different route here. And Graves looking like
Karthus.
Graves and Karthus looking like the likely picks. Looks like Orbit has been tired of global ults, and so they will pick them up this game.
So they will have all the global ults.
They will get the global ults instead this game. What they don't ban, they did have a bit of trouble last game against CLG Black's TF and Shen picks. So Yazuki picking up that Karthus will be traded to W Pooh Bear.
Sona, interesting.
That is very interesting, and it looks like Fornot may be going for an early poke build, so they will try and use that Bio-Arcane Barrage in conjunction with Sona's powerful Power Chord poke to get some early damage, and Exhaust being taken by Sona, so they're going to be going for a little bit of an aggressive build. It does appear to be...
Exhaust Ignite.
Yeah, Exhaust Ignite, and Martel taking Aurelia.
Interesting.
Yeah,
interesting.
Not the best protect the cog comp, but still very, very powerful kind of front lane bruisers, and the crescendo from Sona should be able to keep Kog'Maw safe. Now, the problem that I see here is that Sona and Morgana are both going to have their ults up whenever they want to fight in late game. They're not going to be able to fight and protect Cog efficiently without those ults up.
True, and the thing is, I think with the Aurelia pick, as you said, not the best protect the Cog champion. However, probably the safest, one of the safer top lane, not probably the safest, but one of the safer top lane choices being that they could still counterpick.
That's an absolutely good choice. It is difficult to counterpick Aurelia. She is extremely well-rounded and can do, like Lee Sin in top lane, she can do well in a variety of matchups.
So it'll be interesting to see who Orbit chooses to round out their team roster. Having both Karthus and Soraka is incredibly obnoxious for the enemy team because you do it's when they ult at the same time, it's never, things quickly turn completely backwards.
It looks like we're going to have an Eve pick, so we'll have to be remaking this game. I wonder who that champ select will be. I'm surprised they're not pulling out of this game already. There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Elimination's going to leave, so we will go ahead and ask these guys what the pick was.
You know, in a patch or two, that won't be standard anymore.
Hecarim! Oh, man.
Interesting.
That is interesting. So that means that Lee Sin is going to be going top lane, most likely, and that Hecarim will be coming out of the jungle. Well, I don't know what to say about that, honestly. I haven't seen Hecarim in a tournament outside of Asia. Hecarim is a relatively common jungler on the Korean and Southeast Asian servers, but we don't see a lot of them here in North America. Maybe they're practicing to play Taipei Assassins in a little bit.
Maybe. I love Hecarim as a chip. That was weird. Another vanishing act.
Another vanishing act.
For my parole, we're magnificent twisted fate up in here. You owe me 12 elo. Oh, that's funny. All right. Well, you know, I was thinking about Hecarim. I really, really like Hecarim as a champion. He's a lot of fun to play. You know, viscerally, he has a lot of really epic sounds that accompany his character that make playing him a lot of fun. His kit is really interesting. He does a deceptive amount of damage. His aesthetic is really cool. His voice actor was really great. And what they did to it, like everything about Hecarim makes me super happy. And seeing him picked in a tournament, you know, especially as you said in the North American server, because he is very common in Korea, but seeing him picked in this tournament is going to be really interesting to see how they use him.
Yeah, I'm super psyched, actually, to see this. And while we go through these nonsense pick and bans, I'm going to talk a little bit about our sponsors, guys. Again, big thanks to Arcade. If you guys like this tournament, if you like seeing these big money events and these interesting mix of online teams that GG Chronicle runs, please head over to the site, participate in their contests where you have a chance to win graphics cards in RP if you go over there and ask or answer a question tagged with League of Legends, and for every question or answer that you ask that gets 5 or more upvotes, you will be entered into raffles to win video cards and RP. So really big thanks to Arcade. They are an awesome site, not only for League of Legends, but for all games, for asking and answering questions. They are the best. So the only way we can continue to run these is if we can continue to get sponsors. And so your participation in these contests really helps us out in terms of bringing you guys more and better content in the future. Also, a shout out to our sponsors over at HyperX. You can win prizes from them, including RAM and Flash USB cards, Flash USB drives, I should say. If you head over to their HyperX community page, like them on Facebook, like GG Chronicle on Facebook, and post on the sticky page on GG Chronicle's wall. These contests will be run through next weekend, so you've got a bit of time to mull over your arcade questions during the week. And while we kind of wait for this to tick down, I will go ahead and play an arcade commercial for you guys. Again, go ahead and go over there, check them out, ask and answer questions for League of Legends, and win some nice loot.
Go get some of that fat loot for yourself. Farm up. We'll be right back.
All right, guys, we are back and counting down this last minute here into Champ Select. And so we can see here that let's talk about these lane matchups a little bit. Looks like Yazuki, we were wrong. It's going to be top lane Hecarim.
Yes, it is. I'm even more excited now.
Yeah, this should be extremely interesting. I was kind of wondering what they were going to do with Jungle Hecarim because I thought that Parole would want to farm early and so wouldn't be pushing the lane quite as hard. And Aurelia can safely farm under turret and easily farm under turret with He-10 style and Blade Surge. So I thought that Hecarim might have been a little awkward pick considering that Hecarim's ganks really need they can punish pushing opponents in your lane very hard, but otherwise are not the most wonderful ganks in the world. But instead, we're going to see top lane Hecarim, and I'll be honest, I don't quite know what to make of this.
I don't either. As a lover of all things Hecarim, and as a jungler, I have only ever jungled Hecarim, and I've only ever seen him jungled in games when I play. I've never seen, and I've rarely seen him in professional level play, so I don't know what to do with him top lane. And I know he's a common counter pick to Yorick because of his ability to heal off Yorick's duels. I don't know much else about him top lane, to be totally honest. And as with most junglers, they can usually top lane pretty well, given the nature of top lane and jungle requiring similar traits. But I really don't know. I have no idea what to make of it either.
Yeah, it's very, very bizarre, and I'm trying to pull this up here, guys. Looks like we might have a bit of an issue currently with League of Legends. Nope, we're going to get in. I just didn't get a loading screen for some reason, so no problem. Never fear. We are now in this game, and we are live.
Yes, we are.
In the meantime, for those of you guys who have been watching us and not the first stream, it appears that MTWNA has decisively won Game 1, and more interestingly, Rainman is subbing for MTWNA for this tournament, and even more interestingly, he played Jace and didn't die. So, I actually myself can't wait to see that VOD.
Oh man, I can't either. I am super excited to hear that. And look at all of this action we've got already. Everybody is, rather than in the jungle, everyone decided we're just going to go at it in the middle of mid lane right now.
Yeah, that looks to be the name of the game. And by the way, as for those of you who saw, I was even more puzzled because I opened up, I'll save it, we might be seeing some action.
Yeah, there's a Karthus Q into the bush. They're not going to quite hit anybody. Then there's ggClassic going to get binding. Lee Sin Q going down. He's going to dive in onto One Bad Brad and take a bunch of damage from Kog'Maw and Sona on the way out. This is going to get sticky real quick here. Zekit has warded the top bush by the Wraith camp on purple side. So I'm not sure if we're going to see any action go down up there either. We're going to see some ports back by Orbit, as all of Fortnite is just going to hang out in that middle bush.
Yeah, they're definitely going to need to port back. I'm curious if they want to take this early blue and give it to Lee Sin or give it to Karthus, or if they're just going to rotate over to red. Lemon Nation playing it a little bit fast and loose, standing by himself in this bush. But he is going to get out in time. He should be all right. I don't think he's going to get dark bound. But Hecarim heading to top lane. It is a 5v4 scenario for Fortnite here. Let's see what they try and pull out.
Yeah, I do not like the looks of this at all. Karthus is about to get snagged. There it is. First blood's going to go to One Bad Brad. That is not a good situation to be in, and it looks like Lee Sin is going to have to say goodbye to his blue buff. Not that he really needs it so much, but that's going to be an interesting start to this game.
Yeah, unfortunately, if we take a look here, Martel on Aurelia didn't actually get an assist from that fight and has now lost a bunch of golden experience in top lane. So in order to balance this out, you know, High is very far ahead right now and should be able to get a fast Wriggles or very fast gold per fives, depending on his build. And but even so, it's going to be a little bit of a wait and a little bit of a disadvantage from Aurelia in top lane unless High comes up there for some very powerful early ganks.
Yes. And do you mean High or do you mean One Bad Brad?
I mean High, or One Bad Brad. Yes, that is absolutely correct. I'm sorry, guys. One Bad Brad needs to take his advantage that he's gotten from this kill and use it to help Aurelia, because now ggClassic is going to be in a fairly commanding position with the extra bonuses that he's going to get. And now High picking up a red buff, not even clearing out his own small lizards, going to try for a lane gank here on Martel.
To just put Aurelia even further behind, which is not a bad idea, but One Bad Brad is doing his golems as he waits, and he might come in from the backside, and we might see a double gang top lane.
Yeah, we'll have to see how this goes down. Of course, no red buff currently for Nocturne. Here we go.
There's a tag. Aurelia is just going to flash right out, so a really great level 2 gank by Lee Sin. High just busting that flash, and we might see an engagement, a jungler engagement here.
By the way, what I was trying to say before that really exciting level 1 fight was that I was looking at the rune page set up for ggClassic before the game, and he appears to be running gold per 5 quints, gold per 5 seals, armor reds, and then I believe it was mana regeneration blues. So that's a really bizarre rune page to be running on Hecarim here in top lane. I'm trying to see if that's actually true or not right now. I can't really tell from the statistics that I'm being given. It does look like he is running armor runes at the very least, but if he is running that, he should have a lot more gold than everybody else right now, so let's go ahead and take a look.
Yeah, let's take a look. See there, Hecarim's gold is at 1,043, second only to Graves, who has 7 more CS.
So it does look like it is likely that he's running those runes.
Yeah, it does. I don't... It's such a bizarre rune setup.
Yeah, indeed. And so there we go. Like you can see right now, I'm almost certain, given the amount of gold that he has, he's only 100 down on Graves, who has 12 more CS, that he is running that rune page. So we'll have to see how this affects his late game, and if he's going to be building a bunch of gold per 5 items, or if he's going to be using this boost to build more items that would help him be more powerful and aggressive in the mid game.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, that's for sure. Speaking of interesting things, bot lane is getting a little hectic right now as we see Orbit getting a little bit of a push coming in. And we're going to see Nocturne coming in on Nubby Pooh Bear. One Bad Brad going to try the Dustbringer, and perhaps Takashi could get a Dark Binding off, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case.
No, and I think we're going to see some passive play probably here in bot lane. You know, that Graves Soraka combo, able to do a bunch of buckshots and keep him very healed up and especially filled with armor due to Graves' passive as well as the bonuses given by Astral Blessing. But I don't think that Parole and Zekent are really going to be interested in that early game aggression. Meanwhile, Orb High looks like he's going to try and come in on Takashi X.
Yep, there's the Q. He's going to dash in. We got the cripple down, and there's the Dark Binding. And I don't think now a whole lot's going to be able to go on because of that. But Irelia is down here now. Martel has pushed to Hecarim's tower and has just come down mid to hang out. Yeah. And they know that Lee is as race, and we're going to see them come around for him. Irelia is going to pick one of them up, and Lee is going to dash out.
Both of these teams being very difficult to gank. I mean, with Karthus Wall of Pain, with Morgana Black Shield and Dark Biting, with Lee's ability to dash around, you know, and same with the dash, the Blade Surge from Irelia, as well as the Equilibrium Strike. Really.
Uh-oh, I think we might see some action top lane. One Bad Brad comes in on Hecarim. Mizuki's going to run out. He manages to barely get out of fear range. He will actually get... Well, no, he did get feared, but it was all right. He ran the right direction. So, but One Bad Brad, I'm not quite sure if he's going to stick around. Oh, he found High in the jungle, and High is going to have to flash out. We've got a lot going on as Takashi X comes in on top lane. We might see Yuzuki get dived here. Get dove, excuse me.
Yeah, that
really nice dodge on the binding. Yep, there's the ultimate. Hecarim's going to do as much as he can, and I don't know that it's going to be enough. One Bad Brad is going to get it out. Oh, maybe not. Maybe Karthus is going to be... Yep, it looks like Nubby Pooh Bear is going to pick that one up. Karthus pressing R like a champ. He's up there in the top lane to try and clean up the rest. Does not quite get anything out of it. So a 1-for-1 trade there, and a really interesting little dance that those two teams just did.
Yeah, unfortunately, Nocturne's shield looked like it was down at the time. I assume he has a point in it right now. Let me take a look. Yes, he does have a point in Shroud of Darkness. So it looks like he was just using it earlier in that fight in order to get some extra damage off and stay in the battle against High and Yuzuki. And now let's take a look at the gold. Looks like Hecarim will be building gold for 5 items. He has picked up that Philo Stone, and again, he has about 1,700 CS, despite being... Or 1,700 gold, excuse me. Despite being...
Like, wow!
That would be very impressive. Even Alex Ich couldn't pull that one out. But 1,700 gold, despite being pretty far down in CS compared to Karthus and Graves, he's not too far behind in terms of gold, and well ahead of High, who has a closer CS to him. So, interesting build we're seeing. Meanwhile, Nubby Pooh Bear continues to push this lane. Again, the ult is down now, so he's not going to be able to use that for quite a bit of time at the moment. One Bad Brad trying to do some damage, but there's nothing that's going to come from this.
No, I don't think so. Nubby Pooh Bear does have the double buffs that he got from One Bad Brad, and he is now going to go, I guess he allowed High to take the blue buff, seeing as how he probably doesn't need another blue buff in the immediate future.
And Yen opting to not go for any Doran's Blades, picking up a very fast BF sword. He can afford to do that given the heals and sustain of the lane. He's not going to need the lifesteal or anything like that. And looks like Takashi X getting very low based on a gank there from High. Let's try and rewind that just a little bit so we can get exactly what... Oh, Takashi X was already very low. So High coming in and not being able to pick that up. Getting a Q off but not dashing, considering that One Bad Brad was right there.
Yep. And we see the top lane as well. Yuzuki pushing a little bit. Both he and Irelia... Oh, we have a kill bot lane.
Got a kill bot lane. Nubby Pooh Bear heads bot with that teleporting into the brush and doing an excellent job of taking out that Sona.
Yeah, that's a really great tactic that a lot of top laners and mid laners use. They take teleport, and when lanes push out or push back, they'll teleport towards in the bottom bushes, completely undetected, and bad things will happen to the enemy bot lane when that goes down.
And High going down in mid due to the Morgana ultimate. He was able to dash over to Nubby Pooh Bear, but it just wasn't barely enough to break that tether, and he did get blown up by it. And looks like he managed to refill Takashi's blue buff So, interesting, or he actually, managed to refill Takashi's blue buff, so you can now see that One Bad Brad is going to take the blue buff probably for Fornot, and they will have a little bit of an advantage now.
That's going to make a lot of difference. We see Yuzuki coming back to top lane with a Philo Stone and a Heart of Gold. He already had the Philo Stone, but he is just going pure GP5. I wonder how much money he's going to be able to make, how quickly.
Well, he is actually down from Aurelia right now, considering he's down about 30 CS, but it is pretty even considering those gold for 5 items that he's bought. So he's not doing an awesome job at CSing this game, but he is still staying in it thanks to his item and rune choices.
Yeah, there's some pings going down on Dragon and on mid lane by both separate teams, purple pinging mid and blue pinging Dragon. Zekken's going to ward up there, and Takashi and Parole are going to come in, and they're going to start doing Dragon. I'm not sure if Orbit's going to be able to respond to this, especially with One Bad Brad there now as well. Yeah, it looks like they're just going to take that Dragon straight out. One Bad Brad's going to pick that, or Morgana's actually going to pick that one up with her puddle, and Nubby Poober going back right now. Nocturne ulting, I'm not sure what's on. Oh, there's ulting on the Soraka in that bush down there. One Bad Brad doing a lot of damage. And there's the Karthus ultimate. There, yep, a really nice combo between Karthus and Graves there to put the killing damage onto Nocturne. Unfortunately, that's going to mean that Graves gets taken out as well.
Really nice crescendo over the wall there by Zekent in order to pick up that kill on Graves. And a very back-and-forth team fight. This game has been varying like a seesaw. Looks like we do have a 700 gold lead for Fornot right now after that Dragon pickup.
And they are also 1 kill ahead, so there's that to consider. As High just going in on Takashi, taking a lot of damage though and getting bound, so he's just going to hang out there and have to be forced to go back. There is a blue ward directly in the middle of the lane, and I'm not entirely certain what that's for.
It was used probably for... actually, I don't know. It definitely wasn't used for a Lee Sin jump, so that is a bit of a surprise.
Perhaps it's to detect whether or not Karthus is ulting if he goes back. I'm not entirely certain.
Yeah, I actually don't know about that either. It could also just have been a mistaken ward placement, but I doubt that. It's probably you're right to detect whether when Karthus pushes the lane, if he is going to leave the lane and try and gank or not, or whether he's ulting.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. We have speaking of pushing lanes, bot is pushing pretty heavily for Orbit, as Nien and Lemon Nation are going around. They're going to put a ward in Tribush, which is already warded by Fornot. And Kog'Maw's going to spit into that bush. He's going to make people back off.
Yeah, not much going on now. We have returned to kind of a passive laning phase after a few quick kills there from both sides and a bit of roaming. Now that Dragon's down, there's not going to be a central point of contention for a few more minutes. And looks like Yuzuki's actually pulling himself back. He's getting closer to Aurelia in terms of CS, now only down about 25, and the gold score, let's take a look, he is actually just about 10 CS. He has now actually surpassed Aurelia in terms of gold, thanks to his runes and those GP5 items. He is now up to 3 GP5 items. He is going Avarice Blade. This is a very interesting build. I am really, really interested to see where this goes. Crescendo now going down on bot lane.
There it is, and the Nocturne ultimate's going in. We're going to see Lemonation take a lot of damage and get tagged by Nocturne for the kill there, going on to, I believe, Kog'Maw picked up the kill there, so a really aggressive move and a great dive there by Nocturne, picking up the kill for them on bot lane.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised they didn't dive that further. It seems to me they probably could have picked up the kill on Graves, too.
Yeah, it does seem that way. It seems pretty likely. And we have Irelia and Morgana converging on Karthus mid lane. Irelia's going to get out to chase Lee Sin around a little bit.
Yeah, in the meantime, Martel has been roaming a lot with Aurelia, but now has less than a 10 CS advantage in top lane, so Aurelia really hasn't been able to do much via the roaming, and Yuzuki, in the meantime, closes that CS gap and now should actually have a pretty significant gold lead.
Yeah, the gold lead right now, Aurelia's got 3,800, and yeah, he's got at least a 200 gold lead with 4,000 right now.
And it looks like they are going to be able to pick up that.
Oh man, Yen's going to get tagged. Wow, that was really great binding by Morgana there. The blue buff goes down. Karthus is going to take a lot of damage. Fortnite picking up a kill on High. Karthus is actually going to go down to Takashi. And there's the ultimate from Nabi Poober. I don't know what he's going to be able to do in terms of a kill. Was there a zone? Takashi's already got a Zonia's? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, although it was a 2-for-3 trade in favor of Orbit, so they did a nice job there. Karthus picking up that double kill with the ult, and so that's going to push Karthus to 4-2-1 and Morgana to 4-0-3. So both of these mids getting quite fed and getting quite a lot of gold at this point. In the meantime, Aurelia farming back up and increasing that CS lead once again against Yazuki. And of course, Yazuki's really going to be a terror into the mid and late game with that AoE healing effect based on the damage of his allies. And there is a lot of AoE damage that can go down due to Karthus and Graves with buckshot and collateral damage. So that's going to be really, really nice once they get into team fights and Hecarim gets right into the middle of it.
Yes, that's, I mean, and the GP5s, you know, we talk about how weird that is, but I think it's only going to favor him if he's able to keep us, which, you know, he's only about 20 down at this.
That's right, and it looks like Aurelia has actually picked up a couple GP5 items as well, picking up that Heart of Gold and Philo Stone, so she won't be as far behind, but Yazuki still having a little bit of a gold lead, it looks like.
Yes, it does look that. Kog'Maw rushing the Phantom Dance for bot lane as we see a little bit of a fight go down. He's spitting a lot on the Lemon Nation, who's taking quite a bit of damage from that Arcane Barrage. And he's relatively safe down there. He's got two Dorns and a PD, so he's moving fast, he's critting often, and he's attacking quickly as well. Yeah,
no surprise that you would go the Phantom Dancer first on Kog'Maw with this Sona in bot lane. Again, that Bio-Arcane Barrage is meant to do some long-range poke with Sona's abilities and really help those trades against this high sustain lane of Graves and Soraka.
And one bad Brad's down there. He was trying to clear out a little bit of a ward with an Oracles to try to get a lane gank. Yen being forced to dash out of that Kog'Maw ultimate. And one bad Brad now checking everywhere for wards to see if he could possibly start another dragon or come in for a gank there on bot lane.
Yeah, and I think this will be a very rapid dragon by Fornot when it comes back up again. Looks like they might be going for a dive here in bottom turret. One bad Brad has picked up that Oracle. I don't think that Orbit knows that this is going to be happening.
No, and it's definitely going to be happening, let me tell you. When they finally decide they're going to push and go back to their tower, unless they go back in the bush, I don't. Well, no, it looks like Fornot's not really too into it because Hive came around and met their entire team by dragon and got evaporated, which was very unfortunate, but for Orbit, but really fortunate for Fornot as they get a really easy dragon. And there's a dive onto Yen, resulting after the dragon. He's gonna get feared. The Oracle's there. Karthus is in the bot lane as well now, though, and it's gonna prevent Yen from dying.
Yeah, and that was a great move there by Fornot. Great patience, waiting for that dragon to come up and seeing if they could snake a kill in the meantime. Seeing if, in fact, Orbit was they were probably back there waiting for Orbit to set up at dragon, actually, and contest it in some way, planning to surprise them in that bush. And they didn't have to because they got the jungler instead. And, of course, without that smite, there wasn't a big threat, even though the collateral damage from Nien did go down onto Dragon trying to get that steal, but unfortunately he couldn't quite make it. And now the gold lead, a more commanding 3,000 lead in favor of Fornot. So a bit of a difference. Orbit still trying to play catch-up here. Hecarim getting Boots of Mobility and Phage, so it looks like he will be building probably into, I would guess into Frozen Mallet, but I suppose there's still a possibility of
getting tagged by Morgana's ultimate there in the jungle, and Dark Binding on top of Tormented Soil, and the Flash Ignite is going to take down High. Takashi X, what an aggressive maneuver there in the jungle. Nubby Pooh Bear is going to take a bunch of damage from everybody else, and he's going to ult. Yuzuki's going to pick up that kill. Morgana's going to Zonia's. That's got to be really obnoxious if you're Nubby Pooh Bear. Morgana just Zoniazing every time you use your ultimate there. Yuzuki having to run out, get away from one bad Brad and Takashi X in mid lane. He did pick up a kill in that little engagement though. So Yuzuki now 1-0 and 2.
And you got to give some props there, and Parole managing to die somehow in that engagement as well. Let's try.
That was on bot lane.
Yes,
in
a bot
separate
lane.
engagement.
In a separate engagement. So let me try and just rewind that for you guys right here. We can see. Oh, I almost got it. So we can see Nien here coming in, and an aggressive trade here. That Karthus ult actually helping out a ton in bot lane. That exhaust from both players getting a kill. It looks like that Ignite. Oh, Star Call picking it up from Lemon Nation. So that will explain what happened in bot lane and some more aggression as we go back to real time.
That was a pretty interesting little dance that just happened. So it ended up being a 2-for-1, which is a good trade if you're Orbit, and not so good of a trade if you're Fornot. But at the end of the day, everybody's coming out. You know, Nubby Pooh Bear's coming out with a blue buff. He's got, how much gold does he have on him right now? He's got 1,600, so he's going to go back and pick up a needlessly large rod, I'm pretty sure, to complement his Rod of Ages. Yeah, there's that needless pickup. And Takashi, you know, let's look at Takashi's build right now. He's 5-0-5 with 135 CS. He's got Shortsus, Zonias, and a needlessly large rod. So he's doing a lot of damage.
Well, not only that, but his build just brilliant against this Karthus, and his ability to time those Zonias and save it for those Karthus ults has been extraordinary and kept him alive in situations that he really would not have been otherwise. So very impressive Morgana play we're seeing here from Takashi. Great roaming, great use of that Morgana ult in order to secure some kills this game and turn some ganks around.
Yep, that's totally true. And there goes the bottom turret on purple side with Kog'Maw picking that up. Yuzuki and Hai trying to converge on Aurelia top lane. Doesn't look like it's really going to happen. There's a crescendo onto Yen and the Nocturne Ultimate and the Living Artillery. It's really unfortunate on this bot lane for Orbit that keeps happening. You know, we keep seeing the Sona Ultimate to Nocturne Ultimate and to Morgana showing up. Dogma, it just is a brutal combo, and it keeps taking people out down there. You know, the mobility that this blue team has is a little higher than the mobility of the purple team in this early to mid game. There's a kickback on Parole, and we see Hecarim going into the fear. He's not going to get feared due to the black shield, but we're going to see a lot of damage. Martel's going to take out the top turret. In the meantime, there's the kill. Lee Sin's going to pick up Parole there. High, really nicely done with that dash. So, again, the aggressiveness of both of these teams really coming into play, and just because somebody dies on one side doesn't mean that somebody else isn't going to die a little bit later on the other side. So really well done by both teams.
Yeah, very nice work for sure. And this game keeps going back and forth, and now we have, looks like a 4,000 gold lead for Fornot, so a pretty good lead here at 20 minutes for sure. But Orbit having, you know, Karthus always helps in that late game. Of course, the hyper carry from Fornot being Kog'Maw in this case, and Kog'Maw does have a lot of kills, a lot of assists, and a lot of money. Looks like he's actually about 1,200 gold ahead of Graves right now.
Graves, who does have Bloodthirster and Zeal, so it doesn't really look like he's ahead, but he is in fact ahead.
Well, Kog'Maw is ahead right now.
Yes, that's what Kog'Maw. Yeah. It doesn't look like Kog'Maw's ahead, but he is in fact.
And in the meantime, Yuzuki now is down in gold. He is significantly down in CS, about 45. He's been roaming. Aurelia Martel has been standing up in top lane, and they do have an extra couple turrets from this Fornot team on their side.
They do. They have taken out all the outer turrets at this point, and you know, Orbit has only managed to grab the bot lane turret, so the turret lead definitely in favor of Fornot. Turret and Dragon, for that matter.
So Hai coming in now. Looks like he's managed to pick up that red buff. I'm not really sure what I think Orbit can do to get back in this game right now. They do have a very good kind of AoE teamfight potential, but they haven't been able to really capitalize on it because they keep getting caught. The brilliance of Fornot's both comp and play is, like you were saying, the engage is so strong, and that means if you get caught in the jungle alone by Crescendo and Paranoia and Soul Shackles, it's like guaranteed death.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about it, especially since wherever Sona goes, there is a Kog'Maw.
Right, so you really need to move all as one unit. Orbit has to stay together at this time. They can't be alone in the jungle because it's just too easy for Fornot's team comp to pick them off one by one, and then the resulting team fights tend to go in Fornot's favor.
Yes, they certainly do. But I mean, a great job by Orbit by staying in it despite all of that. I mean, they're not letting someone getting caught deter them from being aggressive at the end of the day, and they end up getting a kill for it almost every time.
That's right. So I'm just going to see some poking around mid lane here. Orbit really wanting to take down the rest of those outer towers, but not having much luck. Of course, the poke coming off of Fornot is great with Parole and Morgana being able to Dark Bind and prevent turret engages or turret damage.
Yeah, you know, it's the range on Kog'Maw is really starting to show here in this mid game, how he's just able to sit back and do whatever it is that he wants. And we're going to see a dragon attempt, it looks like, coming from Yuzuki and Yen down there, while they distract Nocturne. One bad bad is distracted in the mid lane. So it looks like we might see a dragon go down, and this time in favor of Orbit, and that is the case, shortening the gold lead to only 3k.
Yeah, that was very critical. If Orbit hadn't gotten that dragon, they may not have been
able to... And there's a Hecarim initiation going in it doesn't look like it's going to result in much, though.
And it looks like I was wrong. Yazuki going for a Trinity Force build on Hecarim. Of course, that synergizes pretty much with everything that Hecarim needs. He does have short cooldowns on that Rampage, and he is able to turn that extra speed from Zeal into more damage. Really great item on Hecarim all around.
Oh, man, and there, yep, so we just talked about it right there. High getting caught in the jungle by a Dark Binding right next to the Wraith camp, and immediately the entire team is on top of him, and he goes down, which is going to mean a Baron for Fortnite right now.
Yeah, I'm watching this. I replayed it a bit, and yeah, that catch with that ward, again, showing the power of those ults, and Fortnite really judiciously saving their ults to catch it. They've played this team comp quite a bit, you can tell. This is something that they like to do, and it will be a totally free Baron, and that's 25 minutes is a relatively early Baron, and the gold lead just increasing for Fortnite. Things looking a little bit dire for Orbit.
Yes, indeed. You know, the gold lead was just decreased, and now it is back up to 5K.
Yeah,
almost.
Yeah, I have to be a little bit concerned, too, because if we look at the items that have been bought by Orbit, they really can't take a lot of damage, you know. Instead of going Frozen Mallet, you know, Hecarim going for this Trinity Force, Lee Sin has chosen to go Wriggles and Zeke's, which gives him a bit of health, but none of the champions really tanky. They do not have an Aegis. In the meantime, we see the Aegis here on this very tanky Nocturne.
Nocturne, actually.
Yeah, so, you know, I'm concerned about Orbit's ability to actually absorb the kind of damage that Kog'Maw is going to be able to dish out.
Yeah, it's, you know, after a certain point in the game, not saying that at pro level players need this sort of a crutch, but after a certain point in the game, Kog'Maw gets sort of idiot-proof. As we see some pseudo-initiation here, one bad Brad is going to try to fear somebody. It's not really going to result in much, but the turret will go down, and the push will continue. But as I was saying, Kog'Maw sort of gets idiot-proof after a certain point in the game, and as long as he's alive, he will do absurd amounts of damage, and there's not really a whole lot anyone can do about it. So it's starting to get to that point where Kog'Maw is becoming the factor in this game, especially with all of the CC and the punishment that Nocturne and Aurelia can put out in the front line. If you can't weather that, Kog'Maw is going to devour you.
And this is getting very dangerous. That Kog'Maw poke coming out of Parole really doing deadly things here. I'm going to pull out the scoreboard so we get a better idea of how this fight is unfolding.
Oh,
so
and
far.
Nubby Pooh Bear is going to get grabbed by Morgana over the wall. He's going to Zanya's out of the ultimate, which is great. The crescendo going down. Yuzuki's going to get eaten up. Nubby Pooh Bear is going to go down to Martel. There's the Karthus ultimate. It is going to pick up Martel only, and we're going to see Nyen, Hai, and Lemon Nation alive, and the rest of Fortnite is still up and kicking with that Sona heal, and they're going to keep the pressure on, continue to push. The Morgana ultimate is down, as well as the Nocturne ultimate, so it's going to be a little more difficult for them to get onto this tower. The Sona ultimate is also down, so I think every ultimate is down except for Lee Sin's at this point.
Yeah, they're going to pull off right now. They really can't continue that engage with the sustain from Soraka, especially when they're already at half-life. They're going to have to back off, let the Baron buff heal them up, and Sona heal them up a bit before they can start poking again. They just don't have the proper tools to engage against the comp that Orbit has protecting that turret right now.
No, I don't think we do either. So we're going to see now that Hecarim is back up and Karthus is back up, as is the rest of Fortnite. So all the teams back up, and Graves, I thought for a second he was catching Sona in the jungle, but that is not the case.
No, and with those ultimates down, yeah, we're not gonna see any kind of engage, I don't think, from either team right away at this point. They're going to back off, wait for those cooldowns to come back up, which they almost are, and then they'll be pushing a tower once again soon enough before that Baron buff goes away. Yep.
And Takashi right now on Morgana has a Zonia's and a Death Cap at 188 CS, so he's got quite a bit of AP. And I think, let's check his gold, he's got 1,400 gold in the bank. So when he goes back, which he just did, we'll see what he picks up on his way back out to complement his AP-heavy build.
Yeah, and we can see as well, Aurelia now up a staggering 80 CS on Hecarim, so that's going to that's a huge difference. Yuzuki has not been able to farm in that top lane. He has not really been able to compete with Aurelia, even with all those gold per 5 runes and items, and he's gotten himself way behind, really by having to roam and help out the other lanes more than I think he would have liked.
I agree, but despite being that far behind, his items are still, he hasn't been denied a build, I don't think. He still does have his Trinity Force, and he's got a Glacial Shroud at the moment. So, while not fully built by any means, he is still keeping up with the rest of the players, I think, in terms of item build.
And Orbit sneakily camping this bush, hoping that somebody was going to walk through it, but it's not going to be the case. They're going to go for blue buff instead, and they are not going to have an opportunity, really, to take out any members of Fornot or pick them off, I think, like they would have hoped.
No, I don't think they are either. There's one bad Brad taking out a ward with his oracles. You notice Morgana has gone back and picked up a Cage's Pick, some wards, and an Elixir of Brilliance.
Truly, she is very, very terrifying right now. I mean, Takashi has really played some flawless Morgana this game. Literally 5-0-8 flawless. Yep. Very impressive work from him and coordination with the rest of his team for Fornot.
Yeah, it's been really, really strong. You notice, actually, just taking a look at the kill count on Orbit, everyone has 1 kill except Karthus, who has 5.
Right, and of course those are the kills that you don't want on somebody if you're going to be on Fornot. Like if you had to choose somebody not to get kills, of course it would be Karthus based on their team comp. But even so, they're doing just fine. And also 7 deaths for Hai on this team. I haven't seen Hai's Lee Sin before. Like I said, he's normally known for his Nocturne play. He has played Lee Sin a lot. I just think he's gotten unlucky, I guess, in some of the ganks that have taken place in the counter jungling from Fornot, and picking him off in his own jungle repeatedly has really slowed him down. Yeah,
I mean, he's been nabbed. I think almost all of those 6 deaths have been him getting nabbed in the jungle by the enemy team.
But you can still tell Hai, at the same time, picking up that Zeke's Herald, that's not an item we see a lot. And the reason why he's picking that up is because if he can't be helpful himself, at least he can buy an item that will help Hecarim and Graves, especially Graves. So that is actually going to help. He's mostly just an aura right now at this point, as well as some CC with Dragon's Rage.
Yes. And with the Tempest Cripple, I mean, that does provide a significant slow and attack speed debuff.
That's absolutely correct, yeah. And so, Fornot really content just to roam through the jungle, wait for another pickoff, and take all of the buffs and put them all squarely onto Kog'Maw.
Because where else should they be, really, at this point in the game? Kog'Maw has an Infinity Edge and a Phantom Dancer, as well as 2 Dorans and a pickaxe with his Zerker shoes. He is going to just be putting out damage like you wouldn't believe, especially if he manages to turn that pickaxe into a Last Whisper with another free Baron. And he is going back, and he does have 1,800 gold, and that will become a Last Whisper. And there's going to be almost nothing that Orbit can do about that. They're going to have to dive straight for Kog'Maw in pretty much every engagement.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly how they plan to get back from them. The CC should be able to protect if the ults are up, like I was saying before the game. Fornot really can't engage unless the ults are up, but they are very far in the lead right now and do have very strong itemization. Kog'Maw getting just downright terrifying. Last Whisper, he has picked up that Negatron cloak just to deal with Karthus, the one member that actually has kills and more gold. Actually, Karthus has less gold than both Graves and Hecarim, so that's a bit interesting. Even though he has those kills, he is behind Graves by a substantial amount of CS, and Hecarim, of course, having all those gold for 5 items and runes. Frozen Heart now being picked up off Hecarim, so that will help him deal with Kog'Maw, and oh no.
Elimination getting caught in the push by Morgana, but fortunately for him, his team was not, the Fornot team was not in a position to take advantage of that. However, those ults from Kog'Maw are chunking pretty hard, and we're going to see an engagement on this tower almost for sure. I don't like Orbit's chances with all the ults being up. As you said, they need those ults to engage, and they have those ults. Once this creep wave gets to this turret, we're going to see some pretty decent action go down, I would imagine.
I would imagine. Aurelia, in the meantime, picking up a Guardian Angel to complement her Trinity Force and Wit's End. So really, we're seeing an endgame Aurelia build here. All of the things that players typically want on Aurelia are now on her, and she's going to be extraordinarily difficult to kill.
Yeah, just the poke is extreme here between Kog'Maw and Morgana. I mean, those ultimates going down. Nocturne also throwing in Dustbringers. And they have Baron, and everything is pushed. They can keep this up all day and just take that turret out. And we're going to have to see something happen. We're going to have to see something from Orbit in response to this, or they're just going to lose their mid lane completely.
Yeah, and it will be eventually. I mean, the thing about it is this poke is kind of countered by the Soraka sustain, so they are at some point going to have to dive this turret if they want to take it out. It's not optional. Kog'Maw walking up to the front lines there and taking a bit of damage, more than he probably should have from Graves. But again, you know, they are going to have to dive this turret, and because that poke just isn't going to be enough with the Soraka heals. And it looks like they're trying to find a better solution to the problem. Diving, of course, very dangerous because of Karthus taking the tower damage and taking the defile damage. Really, really dangerous. And they are just playing it very cautiously, trying to preserve their lead and win this game eventually through attrition.
Yeah, and it's a valid strategy for sure, but unless they can get in and really take out those towers, like you said, they're losing turrets in the meantime. There's the top lane turret going down. The purple minions have momentum in that top lane, so that's going to readily become a problem if they allow this to continue. I mean, if they just camp mid, eventually purple is going to win out for it. Morgana is just busting the black shield. I think she's just going to go in. Yeah, there it is. There's the engagement. She's going to go in and ult, and the turret goes down. There's the crescendo. A lot of damage going down. Parole picking up the kill. We're going to see the dive there. Morgana picking up the kill on Karthus. They're the Karthus ultimate. 2 kills for Kog'Maw in that fight. A triple kill for Kog'Maw and the ace. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what happens when Kog'Maw gets to endgame.
And also what happens when Takashi X plays a brilliant game of Morgana, really carrying the team on his back. Parole and Takashi having extraordinary games, and that will be the victory for Fornot. So now we have Fornot looking like they're going to be picking up their first win, and conversely, Orbit, one of the favorites given their strong online play, is going to go down 0-2 after losing to CLG Black. And so, guys, that'll be it for KDH and I for the moment. I'm Monte Cristo. We will be back on the main stream in an hour. But you can check out the next game on ggClassic, or GG Chronicle 1, excuse me, and that game will be, if there should be a game going on right now between MTWNA and CLG Black, and then after that, it will be MTWNA versus Orbit, and then we will be back at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern with Fornot versus CLG Black, and we will see you later. So thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah, take care, everyone.